I stand up to talk at an event like this and look out at a group of women, I'm always a little shaky about it, but I know that I'm going to be okay. And I think if I want to put anything out there today is bring together your group of women, however that will be, because they're the ones that will keep you strong and take away your fear. When I thought about fearless, I said, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. So I went to my group of women and I sat down and they said, you know, when I think of you saying, it's not game over. And I said, well, that's great, because you know what? That is exactly what I say. When things get tough, I sit down and I say, okay, you know what? It's not game over yet. Or it's not game over. And that makes me feel a little bit stronger. So I think you need your affirmations. And you need to find yours. What works for you? So what I want to ask you today, first of all, if you had no fear, what would you do? And I think that that's really important. Already people have ideas what they're going to do. Well, that's great. You know, would you cash her all in and move to Hawaii? Would you quit your job and start a business that's going to give you your lifestyle you desire, which is what Charlotte did? See, it paid off, and that's great. Because you know what? Life is short. You know, I've lived a lot of years now, and I know life is really short. And guess what? The older you get, the faster it gets going. So you got to get it all in. And you don't want to spend that short life living the designs and values and standards of everybody else. You don't want to be that pebble in the brook just going along for the ride. Because guess what? You'll get to be my age and you'll regret it. You don't want to regret it. So what are you going to do about that? You're going to have to think, you know, what do I fear? And you're going to have to face those fears. And what do women generally fear? Women have certain fears. When they get challenged and they think about what they're going to do for themselves, they start to think, first of all, about their kids, about their family. You know, am I going, if I quit my job and go do my business or whatever I'm going to do, or go to Hawaii and live, and I love the story behind, you know, about people going to live on the lake and taking a trailer and going across Canada. Those are wonderful things and you should do them, right? Because life is short. But women, when they start to think about things like that, they think, well, where am I going to get the money to feed my kids? You know, am I going to lose my house? You know, am I going to lose my spouse? Because maybe if I do it too drastically, he might just walk out. I think my old guy is going to stay around for a while yet. At Perro, they call him Prince Philip. It's a wonder he's not here today. I think he was afraid of what I was going to say. But, you know, it's true, and we also fear the criticism. I think women really do feel to their heart the criticism that they're going to get from their friends and their family, or someone else who's going to try to discourage them because they're jealous because of what you're going to do. So, you know, you have to kind of face all those things and realize they're all part of life, and you've got to take that risk. And you've got to take the risk because life is short. And believe me, life is short. And all of these, however, for women are real and conscious fears. And, you know, I think a lot of people think the fear of failure is the biggest fear, but I don't think it is for women. I think in a lot of ways it's the fear of success. But this is not a conscious fear, it's sort of a subconscious fear. And why is it a subconscious fear for women? And why is such a big fear for women? It's because when you take on to do something for your dream and you become successful at it, your whole life changes, and it changes then for your children around you, you know, your community around you. Everything starts to change, and you fear that change because guess what? We're bogged down with a lot of darn stuff to do. Women have to worry about supper. You're probably thinking now, what are we going to have for supper tonight? right? Here we have a lovely salad, but I mean, that's not going to count when we go home. We're going to have to worry about supper tonight. Are the kids picked up from hockey and, all the things that you had to arrange today just to get these few hours just for yourself. So that's the way it is for women. So when they think about success, they think about all of these things, and that holds us back. So we got to have courage. And the courage to overcome any of those fears, whatever they are, is the power that we have within us. And we have to garner. You actually have it inside. Someone said that to me one time. They said, Rosalind, don't worry. Everything you need to know now. You have it all inside of you. And, you keep thinking about these things when you get in challenging times. It's like, okay, how am I going to do now? But, okay, you remember that someone told you that everything you need to know, you have it inside of you. So that keeps you strong. So that's what you have to do. And so the path to courage is facing whatever that fear is. It might be a small one, it might be a big one, and they're going to come. No matter what you do, no matter how successful you are, they're going to come. I don't know how that one got so funny. Swift Taylor, that's kind of cute, isn't it? It did say Taylor Swift, but I guess it got kind of rearranged. I like it though. Maybe we should tell her, you should call yourself Swift Taylor. Anyway, she says in one of her songs, I think fearless is having fears but jumping anyway. And I agree with that. And one time my son was a ski jumper, and he made me, I think it was, I don't know how I got up there anyway, but we used to have this big 90-meter out there at Big Thunder, and he said, Mom, you can climb all these steps. I want you to see what it looks like up there. So anyway, I did it. You do anything for your son, right? Especially when you got one. So up I go, and I said, oh my God, John, you must be so scared. Why do you do this? And he said, you know what, Mom, that's why I do it. Of course I'm scared. But he said, once you jump, you have this wonderful joy of accomplishment. And you know what? That's the way it's been for me in my life. Every time I do something that really challenges me, I get this really wonderful something or other that makes me feel joyous because I've been able to do it. And sometimes it's not even about me. Like I watch Charla, and I watch the wonderful women in Levinas jumping off cliffs all the time, in one way or the other. And I see the accomplishments of women as they do that. And I actually get joy from that. And a lot of the awards we give out at Paro is just about that. And I see Charla doing the same thing. And you notice how you ripple out positive energy. It ripples out in the community. And that's a wonderful reason to do it. Because then other people get wonderful ideas of what to do. And that makes you joyous as well. So it's worthwhile jumping. So now I'm just going to go forward a little bit here. And I'm going to bring her down a little bit, because I know that when we say challenges, it's kind of a foggy thing. Like, what are the kind of challenges? And we've heard some of them today. But I was faced in my 40s with what we call the big C. And I've made it kind of gray there, because I guarantee you my life was gray during that period. I went through about 3 years of surgeries, etc. And you know, people can look at that, and you get those kinds of challenges in life. No matter how good you are, how hard you work, no matter what you do, these things are going to hit you in the side of the head from time to time. So you have to look at them in a different way. So I'm sitting here and I'm listening to the doctor saying, well, you know, this kind of cancer. And I remember that my father just died with the same type a few years before that, 2 or 3 years before that. He said, you might get 5 years, you know, and, you know, if you take your treatment, you do your diet and all of this sort of thing, and you're not hearing a damn thing he's saying, only that you've got cancer. That's all you hear. And, you know, I had small children at home, and you think about, oh, my God, I'm not even going to see them graduate. Am I going to have to leave my spouse and children behind? You know, what's going to happen? Am I not going to see my grandchildren? Boy, you expect at 40 you're going to live forever, and it just blinds you. But guess what? When I look back over it, and those of you who've had challenges, and I heard some today, and I know all of you out there have probably had challenges or will have challenges, you get to a point where you accept, because you have to. You have to accept what's happening to you. And you have to face that fear head on. And you learn from that. And many people who have had cancer, and there's lots of them, if you haven't had it now, you'll probably have it later. Just the way it is, unfortunately. And it's, you learn from it. And it gives you power. And it can become the most powerful, positive thing in your life. And I know that sounds funny. And you think, well, how can that be? So, for me, I had to spend a lot of time. I had several surgeries. I spent a lot of time convalescing at home and sitting in waiting rooms. So I had lots of time to think. But what it gave me that I hadn't taken time up to that point in thinking about, I'd had a business and just about killed myself working, day and night, 24 hours a day. But that's not because I was in a business. It was because I wasn't walking down the right path. You have to learn that when these things, these challenges come to you, it's kind of guiding you to keep on the right path. So when something challenges you and it's negative, think about why it's happening, because now you've got to make some change to veer over to the right path. And I think that's a big lesson to learn in life, is don't expect things always to be wonderful, but when they're not, see of it as a lesson. If someone's hurting you, if life is hurting you, see it as a lesson of what you need to learn and veer over on the path. So I looked at my priorities and I thought about it a lot. And I thought about, well, what now? And I said, you know what? It's not game over. Right? It's not game over. It wasn't game over to me then, and it's not now. But I learned from that. And what I learned from that, I just made a quick list of them there, is, and I should turn this way because my eyes are not as good as they used to be, face the fear, take time to think, and this anything that happens to you, do the research, get the advice from people who have experience, make the decision, and then live with your outcome. Because no matter what decision you're going to make, there's going to be outcomes, good and bad. But you have to learn to accept them, take responsibility for them, take control. And women have to learn to take control over their lives, because there's too many people telling them what they want them to do. So that's really important. We will learn from doing that to trust our own strength and our own intuition. And that is really important. So whatever you decide to do, it's going to take courage and it's going to take perseverance. Doesn't matter what it is. So for me, what I decided to do was to start Peril. So that was in 1995. And now today it's a sustainable not-for-profit. I thought it was going to be a small project. But you just keep going, like step by step, and more women came around, just the same as it is for Charlotte and her one woman and her one girl. These wonderful things happen, and women are just absolutely amazing. And I'm so proud of women and their accomplishments and how they overcome all the challenges they have. And I see it every day because it's my work, so that's one of the blessings. And then in 2002, I co-founded the Women's Economic Council, so we do the sort of boring policy stuff, but it's still important because we have to influence government, and I think we're making lots of influence. You can see it in the government today, that, our Prime Minister today, he knows that there's women out there. That was, for years, at the Women's Economic Council, we used to read the budget. And we used to look for the word, women. Not there, nowhere. But guess what? When Justin Trudeau came, I was going to call him Justin Bieber. That would have been great. That would have been a Freudian slip of some sort. Maybe it's the marijuana piece. God knows. It's not that they look alike, anyway. But anyway, women is in his budget. He actually has gender budgeting that, as women in organizations like ours, we were able to weigh in on the gender budgeting. We have a gender equality network that Rebecca Johnson and I are a part of. I mean, isn't that amazing, right? But that took years and years of work, not only for me, but women like me all across Canada. Don't let it go backwards. I have a really good friend, the Women's Economic Council. She's from Afghanistan. And she said, Rosalind, you won't believe this. She said, we went from me teaching at the university in engineering, because she's an engineer, to hiding my children under the stairs because they were going to be shot in a matter of a year. And then she had to get them out of Afghanistan through Pakistan and over here to Canada, where her husband, now an engineer, drives taxi in Vancouver. It's still better than being in Afghanistan. Don't let it go backwards. It can go backwards. March, do whatever you got to do, but don't let it go backwards, because it can go backwards quickly. But we've made a lot of movement on that, and Pero has been a big part of that. I think I'm going to go back. It's a good thing that Chris showed me how to go backwards. But so you need the men once in a while for the little things. Yay, Chris! So yes, one of the things I've learned is we don't really need to fear, right? You don't need to fear fear. You don't need to fear people who put you down. You don't need to fear because you feel like you're jumping off a cliff, because you have all you need to get you through, either inside of yourself or in the group of circle of family and friends and wonderful women around you, and some men. Don't want to be negative about men. But I'm going to tell you a negative story that I experienced with a man right when I started Pero first. And I'm going to put it here because I think we need to recognize when we see it. Sexism is sexism, and a bully is a bully. And there's only one way to face bullies. What's that? Head on. Right? And you've all felt it. And sometimes you don't even recognize sexism because it kind of sneaks in there a little bit. And you think it's because something you did or said, and it's not. I'm telling you, it's not. It's society. Sexism has been an ugly, slimy thing coming out under the rocks for many years. And you can see some of that in the United States right now. And it's rearing its ugly head. So you have to be careful and you have to be watchful. But my story is not as important as that, but it's kind of a concrete example of what you might experience. I was new at this, growing Pero, and I knew I had to get money from somewhere. So I went to a government agency. Someone told me that would be a place to go. And they had hired a consultant to deal with people like me that were looking for money. So one of the first things he said after I told him what I wanted the money for, I told him all about Pero, and I was all enthusiastic and blah, blah, blah. And he said to me, he said, I guess, Rosalind, you're just looking for this money so you can have a job for yourself. Well, that didn't make me feel too good. I knew that wasn't really good. You know, someone didn't have to tell me that wasn't a very nice thing for him to say. I didn't feel good. And then he went on. Now he hit me right in the heart because I was growing a not-for-profit, and I really was passionate and believed in why I was doing it, to help other women, to bring women together, to help each other. I was really passionate about it. And he said, you know, I really don't like dealing with nonprofits. They're messy, right? I mean, this is real life story here. So I knew he was a bully, and I knew he was sexist, and I said to him, And I knew I probably would lose the money because I was saying that. So you kind of second guess yourself a little bit. And I wasn't too experienced. But I said, I forget his name. But anyway, not important. He's no longer important, other than as a lesson. I said, I bet you're going to make more money on this one contract you're working on than Pero will make in a whole year. And I guess I was right on, because he sort of went back and realized it probably was so. And so he was a little bit taken aback. So while he was taken aback that I said that, and I said, what do you mean by nonprofits are messy? Like dirty diapers? Because you guess I could smell sexism. And it took a lot of courage at that time to kind of say the things that I was saying, but I needed to say them because I knew that other women were going to approach him and he was going to treat them the same way. And I doubt whether, he would have told some other people that nonprofits were messy, but I guess he felt brave with me. But anyway, he came back after, I'll make this long story short. I had asked for $50,000 that year. It was a lot of money then, 95. And he came back and he said, well, guess what, Rosalind? You'll be really glad to hear this. We're going to give you $25,000. I guess he was going to make sure that I didn't have a job for myself. Didn't want a woman to earn a living wage or anything like that. That would be terrible. And I guess he didn't want me to make too much of a mess. But I had to come up with the other $25,000. In those days, I tell you, that just wasn't happening. So I went home and I thought about it. I still had this offer of this contract, so I could have taken the $25,000. And I thought about it. And I said, no, I'm not going to take it like that. I'm just not going to give up. Guess what? It wasn't game over. Right? I wasn't just going to take that because he wanted me to take it. So I called another government agency and I told her the whole story. So I'm not going to cut to the chase so I don't bore you to death. So I said to her, I very clearly told her the whole story. I wasn't being critical at all. I just told her the circumstances and what I wanted to do with the money. So she said to me, guess what, Rosalind? I like what you're telling me. I like what you're doing. I've heard about you. And I'm going to give you the money because it meets all our targets for the year. And it was literally the biggest money that Pero had ever had, like a full year of money we hadn't had before. And so it was instrumental in us moving forward. And she said, I'm going to give you the 100%. All you got to do is get incorporated. So I said, yes, right on the spot. It's another thing I learned. When anyone gives you what you want, you say, yes, thank you very much, and you get out of there before they change their mind. That's a really important one. So, but I didn't give up on that. I actually called, because you don't want to burn any bridges, especially not this town or in the north, because it travels. So I called the other government agency, and I didn't talk to the consultant because I really didn't want to go there. That was one of the reasons I didn't want to take the 25. I didn't want to work with that person for a whole year. So I called the manager at the time, and I explained, the situation, and I said, I want to thank you really very, very much for having the confidence to give us the $25,000, but I said, we don't have the other 25, so that's not going to work for Pero right now, but we'll probably be back again. I got the 100% at another government agency. What I didn't know at that time is they're in competition with each other. She didn't like that, right? She felt left out. So now that first government agency is one of our biggest funders and has been for years. They don't like it when you walk away, which I didn't even know that then. So, guess what? I think Pero has been messy at times. We like to stir up the mud. We like to make sure that the women get what they need, and that we're willing to say no sometimes to get that, because it's important. You got to learn to take that risk. That's really important. We learn how to handle boys, and what we've also learned is we know who we are. We are women. We are women who are leaders in our community. We are women who are growing our business. We are women who deserve to make money, a living wage. And that's really important. We have to know who we are. We have to know our values. We have to be willing to stand up for them. We have to be willing to take risks sometimes because maybe someone is slighting us or asking us to do something that doesn't feel comfortable. And we have to have vision. But most of all, we don't want to be discouraged. So yes, I founded PARO in 1995. Charlotte was wonderful. She said we had 1,000+ circles. I wish. Oh yeah, for sure. But thousands of women we've helped over the years, for sure. Many of them are here in the room, and they call themselves now #Proud Para Women, Strong Para Women, which really warms my heart, and it keeps us all strong. And women can work together to help each other conquer the fear. And I heard it many times today here in this room. And we have 100+ circles, 112 to be exact. I think we'll be 113 very soon. And they go from the Manitoba border over to Arnprior, just outside of Ottawa, and down to Bracebridge. So that'll give you an idea of where we work. So there's many wonderful women in business where the Ontario government says that we're the strongest women's peer lending network in North America, and I'll take that. Thank you very much. So my vision when I faced fear was to work together with other women to help all women. Charlotte is not much different. She's just doing it on a larger scale, but she's a damn sight younger than me, so I'm glad of that. I'm glad to see the younger women taking hold and going out there in the whole world to do it. I wanted to bring together a community of women. I wanted to bring together women who want to help each other. And they have become the proud Para women of today. But I've been blessed. You know, you have challenges in life, but most of you here have been blessed in many ways. And, you know, it's so heartwarming to hear the stories and see the women receiving the awards, because we're all blessed. Even though we have things that challenge us every day, we are all blessed, and we have to look for those blessings. Sometimes they're small, like the wonderful strawberries on the salad today, right? And sometimes they're big, like winning an award or going to Africa on a wonderful trip, right? And it's been the same way for me. And PARO's had lots of awards, and I never see them as awards for me, because I haven't accomplished anything on my own, absolutely nothing, right? I'm a group of women. That's who I am. Cindy Crow says I'm part of the wolf pack, right? And the wolf pack, and she says I'm her wolf sister, right? Because I'm always in a pack. And that pack is what makes me strong. So this year, and this came right out of the blue, and I don't know how I got the award, because I don't even know if anyone nominated me or who it is, and I haven't been able to find out. But I'm going to India in April, and Dr. Hareen Arora, she started the Women's Economic Forum. She does them all over the world. And she said, you know, soul sister. I almost deleted the email. Like, when you get this dear soul sister email these days, what do? You delete, right? And I said, I went out and I said to Nefri and Mary Frances, two of our interns, we have a pair, research this group. I don't know if I should delete it or not. But anyway, she said, we want to offer you our most prestigious award, Women of the Decade in Community Leadership. Yes. So when I go in April to get this award in April in India, all of you will be standing with me, because that's what community leadership is about. It's not about you. Everything that you do, everything you do, whether in your neighborhood, in your family, and your hockey group, or whatever it is, it's all about community, and that's what makes us strong. So, you know, I can honestly say that's what's going to be for me. So, guess what? It's not game over. It's not game over for one woman and one girl. It's only begun. It's going to grow amazingly. It'll be wonderful. It's not over for the Women's Economic Council. We're still working at that. We're making those government people listen to our gender equity talk. And it's not game over for women in politics. That's also an organization dear to my heart, and we've been working together here locally to encourage wonderful women like Lavina and Rebecca and Shelby, you'll hear later, to run for government and take leadership positions on boards. So it's not game over for them, and it's certainly not game over for Pero. And this is the real version here. I've changed it up a little bit, because I think this is what Paul Anka meant when he wrote it, but he wrote it from the male point of view. I'm going to read it from the women point of view. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when we bit off more than we could chew, but through it all, when there was doubt, we spit it out. We ate it up and spit it out. We faced it all, and we stood it tall, and we did it our way. So yes, with all gratitude, I did not do it alone. I had many women, proud Pero women, to work with me, many of them in this room, women who helped each other overcome any challenges or fears that we had. So we are proud Pero women. We are strong Pero women. You're invited to be one. How many are connected in some way to Pero, or have been, or are a Pero woman now? Yeah, so that's great. It's great to see. I can see them in the back everywhere. So we help each other, and we help our community, and this is real support when we need it. And that's what we have to know, that we come together, but we stay together for years. I mean, I've known Charlotte since she's been about 20. And Erica and Donna and Lavina, and some of you go way back, and Penny, you know. Some of the children that came in, babes at breast, into Pero are now young people in our circles and having children of their own. It's just absolutely amazing to have that kind of community in your life. So guess what? It's still not game over. Pero's still growing. I am still growing. How about you say it with me so that you can practice this, and maybe this will be of some help with you. How about you stand and say, it's not game over? Guess what? It's not game over. Thank you.